Hi everyone. This is my Wednesday night Facebook Live Q&A, and I'm Vicki Stark. I'm the author of Runaway Husbands, and so happy to see you tonight. We have 3 questions that we're going to be answering, and the first is from Frances, and she writes, Vicki, my runaway husband left 5 months ago. I suspected he had become too close to another woman, but he strongly denied it whenever I raised it. I've had counseling and lots of support from friends, family, and this group, and until last weekend had started to make progress with healing from the heartbreak. We agreed we should move forward positively for our children's sake, and because we were, after all, friends. But over the weekend, the truth came out that he's now seeing that other woman. He insists it's recent, but it's ridiculous. Her husband, who was devoted to her, has moved out, and she helped my husband move out from our house. Clearly, I was right all along. I now feel so betrayed again. He lied to me for the past 5 months and claimed that he left only because of my failings. But he never mentioned things that he never mentioned until he was leaving. We were married for 20 years and have 2 teenage children. I feel like I've gone back to square one. All the hurt and anger has returned. I can't sleep or eat. And how do I move forward? I don't see how we can ever be friends, and I want to feel strong and happy. But I'm back to where I was 5 months ago when this nightmare started. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. And I suppose that's why in the book Runaway Husbands, I talk about the different stages of recovery, and one of them being the thunderstorm stage, where you're moving along and you think things are sort of going ahead, and then bang, another lightning bolt hits you, and you didn't see it coming. And I know it certainly happened to me, and it's happened to so many people, that in the first year or first year and a half, there are going to be these lightning bolts. You're going to get a new piece of information, something that you're going to figure something out, the penny is going to drop, and you're going to suddenly realize that something your ex-husband or your former spouse had said was completely a fabrication or a gaslighting. And so for Frances, what I want to say is that you have made progress in the past 5 months, but now you have to adjust to the new reality, which is that I think what you're recognizing is that he most likely was having an affair when he left, and that he's been covering it up, and that you, out of the goodness of your heart and your wish to keep the relationship with him civil or decent or even friends, you believed what he had to say. So that's really a tribute to you, that you're a kind and trusting person. Now, the fact that you're back to square one doesn't trouble me, because I know that if you've moved forward in the past 5 months, you're going to get over this and you're going to move forward again. And you just have to integrate and adjust to this new reality. All your synapses are going click, 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 click. Oh, so does that mean that this was happening then, and you're sort of figuring it all out again? But what we all want is truth. And sometimes the truth is dripped out slowly, little by little, over a period of time. And this is a truth that you needed to understand so that you know what's happened in your life. And you will adjust to it, and you will get back to where you were before you learned all of this was happening. Now, with regard to being friends with him, very often people say, I can deal with my husband leaving, but I can't deal with the lies. And the lies are often a deal breaker. It's very hard. But you have 2 children, and you're trying to be, civil for their sake. So you'll have a decision to make. You might not make it all the way till friends, but you are co-parents, and hopefully you can work together and recover from this betrayal, this second betrayal, so that you can continue raising your children together in a way that doesn't introduce more stress into their lives. So thanks for your question, Frances. And we'll move on to Carrie. So again, in Carrie's question, we're talking about the feelings that you have. This is going to be a night of talking about feelings. And Carrie asks this very poignant question. How do you deal with the regrets? I know that's a question a lot of people have. She says, I wish my ex-husband had talked to me. I wish he'd given us the chance to work things out. I wish I'd known what was about to happen so that I could maybe have done things differently. I realized that in the end, he was the one who didn't communicate and didn't try to save our marriage. But could there have been anything that I could have done better to have presented this? I'm thinking of some of the marriage advice out there from people like Laura Doyle, who talks a lot about being more patient, making an effort to validate his feelings more, being less controlling or picky about how or when he gets things done around the house, and less upset when he doesn't, for example. Does that ever make a difference with these type of men? I'm wondering if I had been kinder, more validating, held him less accountable when he failed to follow through on things, if he would have been happier and stayed. So Carrie's talking about thinking back about the marriage and looking at her role, and ways in which she, like many wives, maybe was on his case a little bit, trying to get him to help, trying to get him to pick up his things, trying to get him to participate more with the kids, doing those things that a lot of wives do. And in her case, her husband didn't communicate. He didn't tell her, very much about him being unhappy. So she's just examining herself and her own behavior. And I think that's a healthy thing to do, because I think that, even though we are the wronged party often in the way that he leaves, we were part of the marriage, and that obviously there were things that were not perfect and that we could have done better. And nobody's saying that you have to be a perfect wife. Mostly what we talk about is how the husband leaves as being the problem. That he does this slash and burn thing where he walks away and then he has to put you down and he has to diminish the whole value of the marriage. And that's so very painful. But I think, Carrie, you can cut yourself some slack. You're only human. You didn't know what was going on because he didn't tell you what was going on. You can't read his mind. And you don't really know, in his heart of hearts, what it was that led him to leave. So you're speculating now, and you're speculating in a way that's causing you hurt. So I hope that you will cut yourself some slack and be very kind to yourself and be very loving with yourself. Even if maybe you weren't the most rah-rah, pom-poms, supportive wife all the time, I'm sure you did your best. I'm sure you tried very hard for your family, for your relationship. And could you have done better? Yeah, maybe. But we want to be able to not beat yourself up, so that you can heal and recover from this tremendous loss in your life. So our final question is from Christina. Hi, Christina. How do you deal with the guilt I feel still being sad over his abandonment? Every single person in my life warned me about him right from the start, and they tell me I'm so much better off now. And I agree, that's true, but part of me still wants to fix things, and I get mad at myself for thinking that. Realistically, I know that things could never be fixed. So, again, what we're talking about is you being hard on yourself, and feeling guilty that you're still sad. So that's a double whammy. One is that you're sad, and you are sad. You were in a marriage, it had value and meaning to you. And even if people warned you about him, there was something about him that you wanted, that you loved, that was meaningful to you. And you made a vow, you got married, you were part of this couple. And of course you're going to feel sad. But then layer on top of that, feeling guilty about feeling sad. Like you should just wash your hands and say, okay, goodbye. That marriage is over. And I'm just going to move on and not have any emotions about it. So feel what you feel, but don't feel guilty about what you feel. It's okay to feel sad. And some people grapple with sadness and regrets for a long time. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong or weak or not doing this thing right, because there is no right way to recover from something as complex and meaningful as wife abandonment syndrome. But again, Christina, please be kind to yourself. And if you feel sad, I want you to know you're not going to feel sad forever. Life will move on, your life will flow, you'll get beyond this, and you will click into a new stage of your life where you can access more happiness and joy. So that's us for tonight. One of the things I wanted to say to people is that I planned a jump up, a retreat, which I typically do every September in Montreal, but this year we're not traveling, so we're doing it online. And it's going to be the weekend of September 26th and 27th this year, 2020. And we're going to be having an amazing retreat online. It's a 2-day event, a Saturday and Sunday. I've worked out the timing so that it will work for people in California, all across the United States, the West Coast, all across Canada and the United States, in Britain, in Europe, in Africa. And so it's going to be a mix of workshops that I'll be presenting. And also there's going to be a chance for, I'm going to be setting people up in a small room, a little virtual room, where you'll get to know 8 or 10 other women. And you'll develop the friendships that people always develop at the jump up, which is such a significant part of the healing. Being able to hear what I'm presenting and all the things I'm going to be talking about. And then you go to your little room during the breaks and you talk with your friends and you say, well, what did you think about that? And did that affect you or whatever? You talk with them. So go to our webpage on the Runaway Husbands website, the retreats page, and look at the Jump Up online. I hope you're on our mailing list so you'll get all of our information. And do think about joining us. I know that it's going to be really meaningful, and if you're interested in this Q&A, you're going to have all your questions answered in the course of those 2 days. A lot of them I'm going to be presenting, or if you have any other questions to ask, right on the screen, you can do that as well. So that's us for tonight. I hope you're well, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.